internal audit report by the SWAB finalized in March of 2025, and the investigation report by the Integrity Chamber finalized in April 2025. Now, you may be rightly asking, why is this only being addressed only now? The delay in publicly addressing these reports stems from a miscommunication or lack thereof in the office transmission of the SWAB report. So until the past week, I had only seen the draft version of the audit and was unaware that the final report has been completed and distributed internally in March. So my apologies for that. So after the Integrity Chamber publicly announced the finalization of their report, it prompted me to honor my promise and to keep the public informed by presenting the outcomes of both together. So both documents has since been submitted to Parliament yesterday, and copies has also been shared with the major taxi associations and bus associations. If any association believes they did not receive the report, I kindly ask that you can contact my cabinet directly, and we will ensure that this is provided to you immediately. We also found it important to share these reports not only with Parliament and the association, but of course also with the general public. When the time comes for us to sit with the stakeholders to discuss reforms, we wanted everyone to understand the reasoning behind these decisions made. We also believe that the public deserves transparency, especially those interested in applying for future licenses, so that they too understand the directions we're taking as a ministry. So with this context and these disclaimers in place, I will now ask your attention as I present the key findings and recommendations for both reports. So let's start with the SWAB report. The SWAB conducted a compliance audit to determine whether the taxi licenses issuance process adhered to relevant laws, procedures, and internal controls. The scope of their work include verifying whether documents submitted by applicants complied with existing legislation, checking for accuracy, completeness, and validity of submissions, determining whether applications were processed lawfully and transparently, and identifying potential weaknesses, inconsistencies, or risks within the process. To do this, the SWAB examined a sample of 79 applications out of the 136 taxi licenses issued between January 2023 and February 2024. This sample size was considered adequate to identify patterns, anomalies, and systemic concerns. SWAB also evaluated findings using 4 levels of risk severity, and these are defined as follows. Critical risk, which has a financial risk of over 100,000 guilders per year, a high threat to government credible and public trust, and direct impact on national reputation and strategic governance. Critical risks required immediate and correct action. Major risk, a financial risk of up to 100,000 guilders per year. This is a noticeable impact on transparency and fairness and trust, and requires urgent intervention and policy tightening. Then there's moderate risk, which is a financial risk of between 5 to 10,000 guilders per year. This is limited reputational impact and required monitoring and procedural improvement. And lastly, minor risk, which is a minimal or financial impact and has no immediate action. So of the 79 files reviewed, SWAB had 11 key findings that was documented and assigned for assigned to the 4 levels of the risk categories. The 4 levels. So the 11 findings are categorized like this. 5 findings were classified as critical risk. 5 findings were classified as major risk, and 1, making it 11, was classified as moderate. So here are the key findings and their classification and brief explanation of the SWAB report. For the first one, incomplete applications. So two-thirds of the 79 applicants failed to submit all required documentation. This was then categorized as critical, as it compromises the legality of the license issuance. Next, invalid or missing ID documents. Some were issued as expired, non-colored, or missing IDs altogether. This was classified as major, weakens the identity and verification, risking misuse. Third, problems with driver's license submissions. So some licenses were expired, non-colored, or missing altogether. This was classified as major, legal requirement not consistently enforced. Fourth, missing 2022 income tax returns. 27 applicants of the 79 did not submit the required tax documentation. This was categorized as major, as it suggests lack of financial due diligence. Fifth, no medical certification for applicants aged 60 and above. So of the 79 applicants, 14 was age 60 and above, and none of them submitted proof of medical fitness. This was categorized as critical, which is a safety concern for passengers and liability risks. Sixth, outdated civil registry document. 18 of the submissions were either too old or missing. And this is critical. This is categorized as critical as it raises doubts about applicants' current status. 7, unverified or expired residence permit. 3 permits were missing or are invalid among the non-Dutch applicants. So, and this was the only one that's classified as moderate, as it's manageable but needs better vetting. 8th, lack of proof of 2-year residency in St. Martin. 3 applicants could not prove that they lived on the island for 2 years. This was categorized as critical as it violates local residency requirements. And 9, no established advisory committee, so no formal review structure or entity in place to assess applicants. This was classified as critical and undermines the transparency and fairness. 10, unsubstantiated ministerial decision. So it stated that no visible justification or documents of approvals by the minister, and all lacked advices. So this was justified as critical, lacked proper checks and balances and record keeping. And the last one, 11, no proof of payment for licenses. This applied to all 79 of the applicants. And this was deemed, of course, as critical, raising financial accountability concerns. So in general, of the 26 of the 79 applicants were fully complied, but none of the 79 paid their processing fees. And therefore, the conclusion of the SOAB report audit revealed serious gaps in governance, transparency, and legal compliance in issuance of taxi licenses. The SOAB report also had some recommendations, and to name a few, these were as follows. Implement a centralized digital license application system, introduce a regular internal audit and compliance checks, ensure policy and regulatory framework is up to date, establish a formal advisory committee for license issuance, monitor applications completeness before approval, and improve internal departmental coordination and stakeholders' feedback.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, Com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
We have different steps that of things that we have to go through. First of all, communication via government disaster management officials. The Court of Guardianship falls under ESF 7 and also ESF 5. And we have to be in contact with the coordinator of the ESF 7 and the coordinator of ESF 5 to make sure what the steps are to be taken before a disaster. Collaborate with stakeholders to follow up and provide support, assistance to vulnerable clients and minors in our care. We make sure before a disaster that we go through to, we have a list because every Tuesday we have open doors for our community, for the civilians who can come in and ask a question. During those conversations, we can determine if those family falls on the vulnerable list. So we list them on our list and we make sure we go through that list and have it ready before the disaster in case we can support them. Apply the inter-island protocol. We also have an inter-island protocol with Curacao, Saba, St. Eustatius, and Bonaire, and Aruba as well. If a disaster or hurricane is approaching us, before we get in contact with them and let them know, like, hey, there is a disaster or a hurricane approaching us. Just get ready to receive, in any case, to receive our civilians. Next step, parents, caregiver, develop your family preparedness plan together. Before, during this season, the hurricane season, have conversations within your family, with your family members. Make sure everybody is involved, even the children, to make a decision. Discuss, for example, make a plan what their role will be. For example, if you have toddlers, make sure you pack them their knuffel, their teddy bears, a book to color. Make sure they have it with them. As well, also have conversation. For example, in any case, if a disaster hit, if a hurricane hits St. Martin, to have the conversation with your children, if it might hit, that they know, for example, if the parents working in different jobs or maybe the house is damaged and the children need to travel, have the conversation beforehand to make sure if anything happen, that the children can make a decision if they want to leave the family and who they want to go to. If they want to go to a family member in Curacao or in the Netherlands, have that conversation in advance. And during the hurricane or during the disaster, parents provide comfort and support to your children. Just be there for your children because they might panicking. Talk to the children on what is going on and what might take place after passing of a storm. You need to have open conversations with your children on their level. After the communication via government disaster management officials, we as well, after a hurricane, we have to get in contact with the ESF 7 coordinator and ESF 5 coordinator again to make sure what the next step is and what our position have to be. We also will have a Court of Guardianship worker at all the exit, the border controls, just to make sure if in any case an unaccompanied minor will leave the island, that we will be there to make sure all the documents is filled out and everything is set. And we will also advise and guide. Collaborate with stakeholders to follow up and provide support assistance to vulnerable clients. Most of the time, we also receive packages from the social services. So once we receive those packages and we have our vulnerable list, we reach out to those families to just see and give them a package.
I think with that, we recognize the legacy of leadership that helped shape law enforcement on this island. Each represents a chapter in the story of law enforcement, a story that's built on discipline, courage, and an unwavering commitment to justice. Each name honored served as the chief of police, and each played a vital role in keeping our communities safe and our values intact. It's with deep pride and heartfelt gratitude that we pay tribute to all who have served as chief of police, but especially to the three sons of the soil whose lives and leadership shaped the foundation that we stand on right here today. I know that very shortly we had some bios, but they're online as well. So Mr. Rupert Langer Brown, affectionately known as Baby Brown, who actually also gave me my driving exam, now that I see you sitting here. So we've really come full circle here. But as we said, he began his police career in Curaçao in 1960, returned to St. Martin in 1972, and rose through the ranks, eventually becoming chief of police in 1985, where he served until his retirement in 1994. And, for me, I think, and many of us remember him for his lifelong dedication to the people of this island. So I want to say a special thank you to Major Brown, and also for letting me pass that driving exam. But then, of course, Mr. Derek Holliday, born in St. Kitts, raised in St. Martin, joined the police force in 1982 and served across Curaçao and the Netherlands before returning home as commissioner in 1994. In 1999, he became the first St. Martiner to hold the title of Chief Commissioner of Police for the Windward Islands. His decades of service have left a legacy, and today we honor that as well. Thank you, Mr. Holliday, also for being present. Mr. Walter Kravers served 2 terms as Chief of Police from 1974 to 1978, and again from 1991 to 1999. While his family could not join us today, we recognize his contributions and leadership with utmost and deep appreciation. To the families of these leaders, we thank you, because their sacrifices were not made alone. You shared them with this country, and St. Martin is better because of it. So thank you for that. Let this wall that we're about to see very shortly stand as a lasting tribute to the individuals who served as pillars of justice, those who carried the weight of leadership, made difficult decisions, and committed their lives to upholding the rule of law and making our communities safer. As we honor their place in our history, let us remain focused on the continued growth and the resilience of our justice system. And again, I as minister, I'm always very proud, especially this week for Justice Week, that we could do something like this. That's something quite meaningful, I think. And one of the places we don't see very often, that we have these little pieces of history that have remained preserved. And I think it's useful that we could do it over here in the halls of KPSM. And I'm glad that we could do it today on this occasion. So thank you all very much. Thank you for your service. And thank you to KPSM. And of course, thank you to all our justice workers, not just our boys in blue. So thank you all.
Asset V insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? Asset V is cardless. Request your My Asset V account today and enter the virtual office of Asset V. Go to assetv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, Com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Joseph was killed on Wednesday night during what Prime Minister Gaston Brown says was the armed robbery of a supermarket in Sutherlands. Prime Minister Brown says 16-year-old Tafari Joseph was a troubled youth who failed to take advantage of opportunities for rehabilitation.
The whole idea was to rehabilitate. Evidently, rehabilitation does not yield 100% success.
Joseph was one of a number of young males who were given second chances to attend the Harrison Center and given an opportunity for employment in an attempt by government to curb violence between two rival youth gangs. But the Prime Minister says the 16-year-old was the first to drop out of the program.
We have seen significant changes since the last 12 months. In fact, the maiming of each other, that was a routine thing that was taking place that has literally come to an end. Unfortunately, there's still a few of them who are involved in a life of crime and violence, and it is unfortunate that this particular one, who we tried to reform, that he did not take heed and that he resorted to a life of crime and violence.
Prime Minister Brown says he hopes Joseph's death serves as a warning to others who may be headed down a similar path.
It's a very sad situation, but we're hoping that this will serve as a lesson to those who are involved in crime and violence, and to understand that crime and violence will not pay, and certainly those who are involved in crime and violence will surely pay.
Alicia George for ABS News.